Welcome to the live real estate updates. Today we have our guest Jennifer Evelyn from the Durham region. Hey Jennifer, welcome to this platform.
Hi, Paul. Thanks for having me today.
Well, it's really awesome talking to you, and I thought people should hear you out. You're expert in that region, so definitely there are people who might be thinking of moving down that side of the
hmm
globe, and well, who best to ask than you yourself?
Thank you. So, just to clarify, I do not cover all of the Durham region. I cover East Durham region. So, Whitby, Oshawa, Clarington, which includes Bowmanville, Curtis, and Newcastle, and a whole bunch of little small towns all surrounding that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I focus on the east section of Durham. There is a west section that I call the west section. So, it's Pickering and Ajax, that is much closer to Toronto. And just due to its extreme growth in the last 3 or 4 years, there's just too much market to cover and to know well. And I like to focus specifically in a market that I live in, travel in regularly, and work regularly. So,
So you are only working the eastern section of this Durham region, right?
correct.
Alrighty. So how vast is that neighborhood?
Pardon me?
How vast is the area?
So, we're probably over 200,000 homes
Okay.
and 200,000 residences at this point. Um, there is still some new construction going on, not as much right now.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the development was just recently sold out, and the new developments that have hit the market in the last week, unfortunately, are getting very little activity.
Ah, yes. I think
Yes.
it's some kind of uniformity across Greater Toronto area. We are all experiencing the same situation. Um, well, Jennifer, tell us about yourself. What were you doing before you came into real estate? How long into this business? All those awesome details. I never heard
So
those before.
I've worn a couple of different hats. I started um, in banking immediately out of school. It gave me at least a financial background. So I worked in customer service.
Mm-hmm.
I started to learn about the lending aspects, and I decided, and probably the bank decided, that I probably wasn't a very good fit. They're very I think we both outgrew each other.
Yeah.
But it gave me a very, very good foundation for real estate down the road. In between that, I have run a cleaning business, and I have also managed a few gyms within the fitness industry.
Oh.
So, learning discipline and obviously healthy lifestyles, not so healthy lifestyles,
Mm-hmm.
how to make positive changes, and keeping positive when things aren't always the easiest. So,
Awesome.
both have really, really helped me to understand more of the customer service aspect, and knowing how to keep everything goal oriented, but keeping the personal touch with everything too.
That's awesome. So how many years you been into this awesome industry helping people?
This awesome industry. So I have been licensed for just over 11 years. I had my anniversary in April.
Okay, congratulations.
Yes, I'm old now.
Come on. I think we are the same period. Like I am slightly over 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think if anybody can survive more than 5 years in this industry, they are in it for the rest of their lives.
absolutely. So Jennifer, how's the housing? You just told me that the housing market has kind of slowed down a bit. But how do you compare it with our end? Like in Toronto or in the west end of Toronto, we do have slow market. But your housing, is it totally stuck or still moving on? I know we are not seeing multiple so much these days.
Yeah, we're not totally stuck. There are specific price points in specific areas that are very, very, very stuck.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, North Oshawa, which used to be our most popular selling neighborhoods
Mm-hmm.
because of the easy access to the completed 407, which just opened officially, I believe, in December, and then it was free for a few months, which was incredible.
I was on it a few days
Just
back.
that, yeah, just that stretch from Pickering to Harmony Road was free for a number of months
Yeah.
to try to get us used to it. So that area used to be the hottest, highest demand area. And right after week 13,
Mm-hmm.
where basically the big announcement came from the government,
Yeah.
there was a massive shift. So week 13, whole bunch of massive sales happened.
Yeah.
And then week 14, if your home was in North Oshawa and you were priced anywhere over $650,000 to $950,000, you are not selling. We have approximately 30 days on market at this point.
Mm-hmm.
A number of the properties are coming off. They're either the sellers are either refinancing or adjusting what their expectations were. So depending on their status when they put their home on the market. So if they bought something larger or in a different area, they
Yeah.
are looking at alternative ways to facilitate their closings.
So those sellers who already bought the house forward, moving, so they're trying to hold on to the two houses at the same time. You mean because they're not getting the price?
Some are able to because they do have a considerable amount of equity in their home, or
Okay.
they're making adjustments. There's been quite a number of, and there have been properties that have not closed.
So you are very much enlightened, I would say. Don't laugh. Uh,
Wait, hang on.
Hang on.
Where's the halo?
Yeah, you're right. What do you think this an opinion, personal opinion? I won't say it is an industry opinion we are offering here. We are by no means expert, but we see things happening around and we feel people's pulse.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? This market is going to come back soon?
I think that we are going to see a little bit of activity over this month.
Okay.
We have seen an increase in showings just in the last 2 weeks, which is
Awesome.
fantastic news for sellers.
Mm-hmm.
Buyers are very nervous about putting anything on paper. And I think our job as realtors is to explain every aspect of the market. Yes,
Absolutely.
properties are not selling. Yes,
Yeah.
the media is saying that there's 13 to 28% price drops. What they're failing to say is that basically we're back at the prices that we were in December and January, which was still an accelerated market.
Yes.
It's just an accelerated market prior to the extreme overheated market that we saw February, March, and the first 2 weeks of April.
Yeah.
So we are looking at, if you're over the $600,000 price point, especially in Oshawa, we are running our comparables and setting expectations on December, January pricing.
All right.
We are also seeing certain areas and price points. So if you're under 500,000, we are still seeing some multiples.
Excellent. So basically, before things go up again, so what I'm trying to, what I'm understanding is that buyers still have a great chance of getting a steal deal these days.
Yes, there will be some sellers who are not completely upside down and have a lower bottom line number just to be able to facilitate the closing of both properties so that they're not defaulting and losing their large deposits that they have on other purchases. There are some opportunities out there. There's a lot more conversations happening between professionals now, which we have sorely missed in this industry, definitely.
Yeah.
I think that the one thing that the overheated market did was it stopped all of us from having conversations about expectations and really just more communication. And we're talking about all different properties. So we're actually exposing our sellers' properties even more than we were back in the day where, you would literally hold a 2-hour open house and 100 people would come through in 2 hours.
It's becoming more
seeing that.
Yeah.
But we're actually able to talk to the consumer and start educating again. Something that we have all, anybody who's been in this industry for more than 5 years, it's something that we've all desperately missed.
There's you know what, it's a good thing for some buyers actually. We have been seeing many houses being underappraised from what buyers actually pay during the hot market, and many deals are falling apart. So people are
Yes.
seeking alternative funding. There are rising cases of disputes. I know of at least 3 or 4 cases that I personally came across. But anyways,
Yeah.
so so what is the typical home pricing? So are you focused more on Oshawa side, or so, because I just want to touch base with the
So
city.
Oshawa, Clarington,
Okay.
I cover mostly those two areas.
So
Whitby is Whitby I deal a lot in, but I
uh,
do tend to. So here's the thing: when I'm working with a number of buyers,
mm-hmm.
buyers want the best bang for their buck, and Whitby and
Yes.
Brooklyn is more our higher end homes,
Yeah.
and we've been able to get some amazing opportunities for buyers, even in the last year when the market was overheated. Some amazing deals for buyers. I managed to get some people in just prior to the market super accelerating.
Mm-hmm.
So within 3 months of them moving into their home, so within 6 months of their actual purchase,
Yeah.
they had $100,000 in additional equity in their home.
Yes. That this is what
And
happened.
even with this slight shift, they're still above their purchase price is still far below what it would have currently appraised for.
Mm-hmm.
And that's still only they've had possession for 8 months.
Awesome. So what will be the price of a typical home there? Like, say for example, modest home, 3 bedrooms, detached, 2 story. Uh, Give me the price difference between Oshawa, Clarington, and Whitby.
Okay, so a detached 3 bedroom in Whitby, you're probably looking over 700.
See, okay,
There are opportunities for less than that.
yes.
But and the thing with Whitby is that a lot of the homes that are available on the Whitby market are over 3,000 square feet. So they're
Oh,
not necessarily your modest home. The
absolutely.
newer townhomes in very specific areas are still well over 500,000, closer to 600,000.
All right.
But they're typically the newer construction, and they have all the newer fancy bells and whistles that most buyers prefer. They're totally move-in ready. They will not need renovations within the next 5 years.
Yeah.
They won't need any major mechanicals in the next 5 years. The
Yeah.
newer the product, the faster the sale, and
Yes.
that's just the bottom line. Oshawa, our
Mm-hmm.
hottest area for purchasing is under 500,000 right now. To be honest,
Oh.
that yeah. So there are opportunities in Oshawa without even having to go into a condominium for under $500,000. Um, Bowmanville and Bowmanville and Curtis, they fall under Clarington,
Mm-hmm.
but they're two very different markets. Curtis is your absolute bedroom community. There's
Oh.
very few shopping centers. You either have to travel into Oshawa or you have to travel to Bowmanville.
So
Heck,
okay.
Curtis only got an LCBO last year.
Ah.
This is
So adding
huge.
more to the bedroom community.
Yeah, it's truly
Stay
a bedroom
indoors.
community. It has some great little pubs and restaurants, but it really is, and it has an amazing community center. And there's a ton of newer construction that has opened around the community center. But that's another area that's been hard hit. So the average selling price has been a little bit hard hit by a lot of people who are moving out of Curtis or upsizing into larger homes in Curtis and have been trying to sell their smaller homes. And we've seen about an $80,000 drop in some of the prices in Curtis.
You know,
Bowmanville
yeah.
is a lot more variety, a lot more shopping, a lot more schools, and a lot of different types of communities.
Less crowd.
So Bowmanville gives you a lot more variety. You've got homes from the 60s, the 70s, and they have a beautiful collection of century homes too. Absolutely stunning history in Bowmanville.
Mm-hmm.
And every price point is moving in Bowmanville. It just depends on how fast. So if you're under 500,000, you're looking at selling in less than a week. If you're over 550
Mm-hmm.
to 7, you're looking at a little bit longer on the market, but there's better opportunities for buyers there because there's a lot more to choose from.
All right.
And the sellers are being very reasonable. That's the other thing about a lot of the local agents here is being able to evaluate the market, setting realistic expectations for the sellers
Mm-hmm.
so that, yes, it would be nice to cash out at the February, March, and April prices, but
Yes.
unfortunately it's just not there right now.
Very nice. And I would still recommend someone who is trying to buy condominium in Toronto. I think it's slightly out, but they can get to live in a bigger accommodation. Like I have been to Oshawa many times, and I see it's not as heavy traffic as we have here in Brampton or
No,
this end
not
of
at
the
all.
world.
I don't know how you guys drive in Brampton.
Well, there's another topic.
And Mississauga, Brampton and Mississauga, I feel like a country bumpkin whenever I come out there.
It's not easy because some people have very less patience. You slow down, they start honking horn behind you. They don't understand that someone who is ahead of them has also to reach his destination. And nobody is
Yes.
driving to stay on the roads. There's maybe some issues, but people start honking horns on. I won't use that gesture.
It's one finger, just one.
I know.
Not this one.
We won't do that. So, hey, Jennifer, are you seeing many new developments coming up in that neighborhood?
We did. So even back in March and April, any of the brand new releases, same thing that was happening out in the West End. They had police presence to control the crowds. They were lined up down the street,
Yes.
and they were selling out. And oh my goodness, they were having. There was one developer that had a lottery system where you had to put a $10,000 deposit in just to be in line.
Aha.
And it was a non-refundable deposit. I don't even know how that works. I
Really?
don't understand the legalities. I leave that to professionals.
Yes,
They are supposed to
absolutely.
know.
Absolutely.
But honestly, and they would only allow you to reserve one lot. And if the lot that became available when you came up, you didn't like, too
Yeah.
bad. You either took it or you left your lot and somebody else took it.
And you forgo your 10 grand?
Apparently, it was a non-refundable $10,000 deposit.
Let's
I-
become builders now.
I know. I don't even know how that works. But recently, we do have some new developments that are coming available.
Mm-hmm.
But they are seeing the same impact to them as we've seen in the resale market, where there's just they're not selling out. They actually on a extremely reputable builder who builds amazing product for subdivision homes. And in their opening release, they had 0 sales.
Awesome.
Yes.
So, well, we are talking to Jennifer Evelyn from Durham region, specializing in Oshawa, Clarington, Whitby. You said Bowmanville as well, if I'm repeating it right.
Mhm.
And she's the one who will keep your blood pressure under control while you sell or buy a home. That's the laugh you will get all the time. Will keep your system in place. So it will be a happy purchase or sale with this girl who is more than 11 years into this industry. And you know what? You inspire many people. I really appreciate. I feel very happy when I'm around you.
It's
So-
the laugh, right? And the crazy hair.
Yeah,
I don't
crazy
even
here.
know what's going on with this.
I won't talk anything about 6 feet 3 inches height.
6'5".
6'5". I won't say anything about that. So I know you don't help. You don't get into the commercial sales, but I believe if someone gives you a call about commercial, you may have some good connections. You can direct them to the right people, right?
Absolutely. So we have a couple of different commercial specialists within my brokerage.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things I'm going to plug my brokerage on top of myself. So
Yes.
our brokerage, Remax Jazz,
Yeah.
is we have we're somewhere between 160 to 180 individual agents. We're
Mm-hmm.
spread in 2 buildings.
150 to
with,
180. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 buildings that are right across the street from each other. So we force closeness within our brokerage.
Yeah.
If you don't get along with the family members, you get booted off the island. But we also control the majority of the market, so we end up doing a lot of the purchases and sales within our own office.
Yes.
We do have the majority of the market share. Remax has the majority of the market share overall, but then when
Yes.
you look at Remax Jazz, we also control the market share over the other Remaxes.
Well, jazz is such a jazzy name. It basically makes you dance. Because
And
this is
we
a,
are the rhythm of the region. We
yeah.
do promote it that way.
Okay.
All of our, this is another thing that's very, very important to us in, our brokerage offers a lot. I was with another Remax brokerage, which is no longer in existence anymore.
Okay.
But I was hearing about what Jazz was offering, which is standard to all of their agents.
Yes.
So our listing packages, our weekly stats, our yearly stats, our quarterly stats, they're right up. I mean, Noelle Coppins, who is our chief motivational officer within our entire brokerage, she does the individual write-ups for every single agent that they hire.
All right.
And she makes us all sound, she tells us she makes us sound just as amazing as we all are.
It's a good culture.
The culture here is very, very, very positive, and we have an outstanding management team that's always available to all of us all the time. If we can't reach one, we know that there's a list that we can go down, and we hear from somebody at some point very, very quickly.
Mhm.
We're not left out in the wind. But there's a very significant culture here, and we hear it all the time from other agents who come into our office.
Well,
Oh, by the way, if you come to our office to pick up anything, all you have to do is stop by the front desk and you get a Mrs. Fields chocolate chip cookie.
awesome. So you know what? A good house means you carry that same feeling outside in the field, and
Yes.
you help people in a way better way. This is where it translates to. Bad
Yes,
office, bad
absolutely.
mind, bad delivery. So good office, good mind, good delivery. So that's
Absolutely.
you know what? 3 claps to you for that, for office.
I wish it was
Remax
me,
Jazz,
but it's
Remax
really
Jazz.
just David
Okay.
Noel.
So tell me one thing about you touched upon schooling in your some talk just previously. So how you rate the schools in this
And
area?
Park 1 and Amini, Park 1.
Are the schools? Say something about the schools. Tell people about the schooling.
So,
If not, then that's
schools in
fine.
Durham, a lot of the schools in Durham region are very, very highly rated. So there are some areas that have lower ratings on the EQ and O scores.
Okay.
But every city and town has that issue.
Well, yes.
Even with low EQ AOs, it doesn't necessarily reflect on the actual teachers. So you may
Absolutely.
have schools that aren't as highly rated, but have super great relationships with the students and the parents.
Mm-hmm.
So that to me is just as important. So every school has its own niches, its own positives, its own negatives. I don't believe that the EQAOs are an absolute measure of how well the school is
Well,
performing.
nothing is like I tell people. Credit score is not a measure of how good or bad they are.
No, well, we all go through the same real estate courses, but every real estate professional is very different.
Yes. So, what would you like to say to newcomers to Canada? Who knows who will watch this video in future? And so,
Well,
why
I
should they
mean,
come to your area to make it their primary home? So, the factors newcomers are looking at are job scenarios, schooling for their kids, affordable houses, right? So, we talked about houses which are quite affordable as compared to Greater Toronto area or west side
Yes.
of this side. And schooling, you just said that it's every school is different. I fully concur to that. It is different. And if someone needs to find out which is the best school, you can just refer them to the proper websites where they can. We cannot say anything good or bad about anything, basically.
No, and people really need to make their own judgments. There are
Absolutely.
certain schools that locally we know have better reputations than others.
Yes, it's all
And
available online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. what's available online is what's available online, but
Yeah,
we're also talking to people within the community.
agree.
And while my children, well, I have one stepdaughter who's still in school,
Yeah,
and of course, my son went through the school system here, and he and I both went at one point, not at the same time, obviously,
yes.
to the same high school, and his experience in that high school was very, very different from mine.
Mm-hmm.
And people's experiences are very different no matter what. There are challenges to some schools that weren't big challenges 20 years ago, if that
Yes.
school is still in existence.
Well, there are so many dynamics behind it, Jennifer, which are nothing to do with the parents or kids, but maybe staff, or there are so many things happening there. But let's.
Yeah. We're finding that a lot of the newer schools
Yeah.
seem to be better run, and they do have much better EQA scores. The other thing with those newer schools is that they're in newer areas with higher income demographics.
Mm-hmm.
So naturally, the higher the income, it seems to gravitate towards higher EQAO scores.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily agree with that, but that's just the way that the EQAO works.
Yeah. Do you have any information on the job scenario there, like people who are moving into Oshawa or Clarington or Whitby, Bowmanville?
So
What
we've
kind?
had some job announcements. Most of the people who live out here really do work in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
So taking into account the affordability of the housing, even with the increased traveling costs,
Mm-hmm.
either by car or where we have the GO train that runs every half hour.
That's a
every
plus
hour.
feature there. Yes, I know.
So,
Yeah.
and between the 401, the 407 for using your own vehicle or using the GO train, it actually still works out better for families who are looking for good schools.
Yes.
So they're moving to the newer areas. They're getting a much larger home for $700,000 than they could in Brampton.
It is.
Four bedroom home with a 2-car garage, in a newer school zone, close to shopping, so they
Yeah.
really even only need one vehicle because they could walk.
Yeah.
It still balances out a lot better
Yes.
than trying to afford to live in downtown
In a
Toronto.
cramped space. Yeah. The semi-detached homes in my neighborhood,
Park 1.
they are close to $650,000.
Oh my goodness, you can still get a semi-detached older home in this area for under 500,000.
Yeah. So that's awesome. So
Mhm.
well, guys. So here is Jennifer Evelyn. She's an expert in this neighborhood. Give her a shout. Her phone number is flashing on the screen. Jennifer, you can't see it, but you see it
I
once.
was gonna say, I'm not flashing.
The phone number. Oh no, I did write it number. No. Okay, I will put that number up here. Give me your phone number, Jenny.
It's 905
Mm-hmm.
259
Mm-hmm.
8054.
Alrighty, so that goes on the screen. So 905-259-8054
Correct.
is where you can catch this girl and she will take you to your home, which you
Or
lost.
Facebook message me, or email me, call me, text me.
This
I
is
can
cell number,
easily hunt
right?
it down.
This is cell number.
Yes, that's my cell number.
Alright.
Everything goes to my cell. Everything.
Yeah.
And it's always in my hand. Oh, look, see? Reback's pulling too.
Oh. Are you watching this live somewhere on your phone somewhere?
No, I'm trying to keep my phone down.
Okay, good. So, Jennifer, do you want to add something that I might have missed in the conversation? Anything on the top of your mind?
You know what? On the top of my mind, especially these last few weeks, has been the media. The media takes little snippets of what's happening in the market, and nobody loves to read good news.
Yes.
Nobody.
Yes.
So the media is taking these horrible headlines and twisting a little tiny bit of data
Yeah,
and
I
making
agree.
it sound like the sky is falling. So guys, the sky is not falling.
Yeah.
Yes, there are some price adjustments. We are looking at basically erasing 3 months of sales history that was super overheated in a
Yes.
super low inventory time. The market I still feel will come back with a vengeance. So if you want to stay out of the bidding wars and you want to get really good value, even if you feel that you are slightly overpaying
Yeah.
right now,
Yeah.
keep in mind in a very typical market, you see normal increases of 3 to 5% all the time. So even if you slightly overpay now, you're going to be in your home for 3 to 5 years.
Yes.
At 3 to 5% every single year, you are still building equity. So
Absolutely.
stop. And hey, so here's the thing. I love selling people homes. I love helping people buy homes.
Yep.
I do work in the sales market. I do also work in the rental market. The rental market is very, very different. And owning is not for everybody. But if you decided that owning is for you and you're waiting for the market to crash, it's not going to crash.
It's
people.
not going to crash.
No crash.
Catch it.
It
Now.
will stabilize. It's going to stay at about these levels for probably the summer. My owner believes that the prices are going to go crazy again in October. I think that we're going to start seeing a massive increase in activity mid-September. So we'll see who's right. It's probably him because he has been doing this for over 30 years and I've only been doing it 11.
Yes.
But I think that we're all under the same impression. Vancouver did this. Vancouver went through a slight adjustment and they are now in an overheated market where their average selling prices are higher than before the announcements were made.
Yes.
So people, please, the sky is not going to fall. If adjustments need to be made because appraisals aren't being matched, negotiate, work with those adjustments. They might happen, they might not.
Yes.
But the reality is you don't buy a home for right now, you buy it for the long term.
Absolutely.
So you will still increase your equity over your 3, 4, or 5 years that you own it before you either upsize, downsize, or get out of the market altogether. It's
Absolutely.
totally up to you no matter what you do. Don't always buy what the media is spreading.
Yes.
That's
Media
what's top
is.
of mind right now.
Media is not 100% reporting. Media has to sensationalize their news so you buy them. Basically, if someone needs the right information, which is not available through common sources, I would suggest call the professional realtors like Jennifer Evelyn is there. She will give you the information which is to the point, accurate, and is not available through all those BS means. So, right information.
Here I am, the one being all clean talking today.
Well, you are the star of the show. So thank you very much, Jennifer. Thank you very much for agreeing to come online and share something here for us. So see you soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
love.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
No problem.